Hello, this is Joy Poe. I am covering Porter's 5 Forces, a competitive analysis for heartfelt flowers for ENT 610, Entrepreneurial Creation. Essentially, Porter's 5 Forces goes over a strategy for profitability. They help you focus in on the competition surrounding your business to see how your business compares. They help you see what's going on in your industry, what matters, why it matters, and what deserves your attention. And heartfelt flowers, I would say, is in the wedding industry as well as the handcraft industry. The 5 forces we're going to talk about are the threat of new entry. Going clockwise, we have buyer power, threat of substitution, supplier power, and then right in the middle we have the competitive rivalry. Again, focusing in on wedding and handcraft industries. So the threat of new entry. I would say the threat of new entry is high for the handcrafted nature of heartfelt flowers, but it varies when you're considering heartfelt flowers in the wedding industry. There are a lot of people out there who are able to make felt flowers. Not all of them will be in the wedding industry. They may be in more home decor or something along those lines. Getting into felt flowers is not a huge investment. Neither is it a huge investment really to get into the wedding industry. It's just a little bit more competitive and voracious. They're going to demand a lot more of you as a handcrafter. As far as time and value. And then you have to try to be competitive with the cost of real traditional flowers, There are barriers to entry in the handcraft industry. They revolve around learning the fiber art and floral decorating skills needed to be a wedding decor fiber artist. And then the barriers to entry in the wedding industry are production costs. And depending on the wedding budget, there's a significant cost to the handcrafter at the start of a project. So they would need to purchase all the supplies in order to make the flowers and deliver the final product. And then well-established traditional florists will likely remain the leaders for wedding florals, but the draw of artisanal items for weddings means there's going to be a demand for more handcrafted wedding decorations. Buyer power. So the buyer does not have a lot of power, either in the wedding or the handcrafted industry. Buyers accept that weddings are going to be expensive, that flowers will be expensive, and they're willing to pay a premium price for the additional unique value of handcrafted items. If heartfelt flowers should decide to sell wholesale to wedding florists, say, then the cost of my product will require a lower price per stem. It's currently, I think, $3 a stem, and then when I do wholesale, I usually do $2 a stem for my wholesale buyers. Felt flowers for weddings is in a good place to demand to decrease buyer power. The felt flowers are differentiated. They're similar in cost to traditional flowers, and floral decor is a substantial investment in the singular wedding event. So there's lots of reasons that buyers do not have as much power. Threat of substitution. The greatest threat of substitution for heartfelt flowers are traditional wedding florists and real flowers. I still think that's always going to be more popular, but there is a large collection of people out there who love the idea of a handcrafted item for their wedding, alternative wedding bouquets. So while handcrafted items for weddings can certainly demand a competitive price for consumers, there's a cap on the profitability when the cost of the handcrafted item meets the cost of the traditional florists and their real flowers. The handcraft industry by nature is innovative and quick to jump on trends in the wedding industry, knowing that there's a premium on such items. And so what that does is open up a lot of options for substitution, whether that be handcrafted paper flowers, wood flowers. I've seen waxed linen flowers. There's a whole realm of alternative wedding florals out there. And there's certainly the possibility for one felt flower florist to be substituted for another, especially with the high threat of new entry in the handcraft industry. Supplier power. Traditional wedding florists have powerful suppliers because flowers are ephemeral, nature affects their supply, and the seasonal demand for certain kinds of flowers can up the prices of flowers. Heartfelt Flowers does not have such powerful suppliers. Felt is used in a wide variety of industries, not just the wedding industry, and therefore it does not have the same seasonal changes in demand. However, felt suppliers are few and far between. I'm not sure why that is. I haven't necessarily done enough research, but with many wholesale suppliers, they use the same major companies, so switching costs are low, but the buyers are essentially buying the same felt from a different wholesaler for about the same price. Now, this changes significantly if Heartfelt Flowers were to seek out 100% wool felt. These other felt suppliers are wool blend felt, so they have other fibers in them, but 100% wool felt is more of a craft item, so suppliers are in the handcraft industry and they can demand that premium price for their unique product. So they're out there shearing their sheep and creating the felt sheets by hand and dyeing them by hand. So those that's when the supplier has a lot of power in my particular industry. And then finally we have competitive rivalry. Rivalry in the wedding industry is often cutthroat, but the handcraft industry is supportive, and they often choose community over rivalry. I like that about being an artist. Artists tend to be supportive. However, that's not to say rivalry doesn't exist in the handcraft community. Many handcrafters undervalue their work and they drive down the prices for other makers. And then new products are constantly being introduced, offering a limitless variety of options for consumers. So if you can't make it, someone else will. There's an additional component to competitive rivalry in the handcraft industry when you add a business like Heartfelt Flowers to the wedding industry. You get the cutthroat aspect of the wedding industry, and it puts pressure on the makers to make their prices more competitive, to increase their customer service, and to innovate products according to the ever-changing wedding trends. So I think that this 5 forces gives me a pretty good idea of the competition, how things are affecting my competition. It's pretty interesting to do and look over it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy this beautiful pink bouquet. Thank you.